everyone. I'm Emily Longaretta, the Senior TV Features Editor at Variety, and I am very excited to be hosting today's half hour with Shrinking. Today, I am joined by actor, creator, writer, and executive producer Jason Segel, and actors Jessica Williams, Luke Tennie, and Michael Urie. I'm so stoked to get this conversation started. Jason, I want to kind of kick off with you. We'll have you give a quick overview of the show, just for people who may not have watched it yet.
Well, it starts with a man named Jimmy, whose wife has recently died unexpectedly in a car accident. And so he is going through his own nervous breakdown while trying to raise his daughter and continuing to practice therapy on patients who have no idea that he is essentially going through a nervous breakdown. What it expands to is this wonderful world of characters and relationships with the people I work with, Harrison Ford and Jessica Williams, and the workplace dynamics there. My best friend, played by Michael Urie, who we are estranged, and my first patient who I try this new method on, Sean, played by Luke Tennie, who he is sort of the first use case of if this new system will work. And all along, we are kind of forming a surrogate family to replace the immediate family that has been broken apart.
Amazing. All right. So before we get into this discussion, I want to throw to a trailer.
Cool. What's on your mind today?
I want to change, but I'm not particularly open to make those changes.
I'm trying.
Every time I get rid of one compulsion, another compulsion comes up.
Are you yawning right now? Spoiler alert, I feel like I'm stuck.
Right. How does that make you feel?
Jimmy!
Liz! Hey!
It's 3 a.m.
I'm sorry.
What's in that bowl?
Pretzels.
The other bowl.
Maybe some painkillers.
Maybe?
There's painkillers in there, yeah.
I have to ask, is this you forever?
I don't know.
Oh, hey,
Paul.
I'm worried about you, kid.
Yeah, I've been grieving here.
You've been numbing.
Stop. You're doing sad face.
This is just face. I have resting dead wife face.
He just kept on going on and on about how dumb I am. But he loves me.
Your husband is emotionally abusive. He's not working on it. He doesn't intend to. Just leave him.
Okay.
I think I can help people if I get my hands a little bit dirtier. Your mom wanted you to scatter her ashes, right? We know what they should do. Don't you ever want to just shake them?
Well, we don't shake him.
I take that back. Run? Huh?
Sounds so unethical.
You're just gonna burn down your career and take me with you.
Coin flip?
Get out of here.
Wait, this is my office.
It took you longer than it should have.
My patients are really thriving. This thing I'm doing is really working.
I'm right behind you!
Nobody gets through this life unscathed.
I can't remember Mom's laugh. I can feel her slipping away.
You're faced with a choice. Are you gonna let your grief drown you? Or are you gonna face it, come through the other side?
It's nice to see you have your spark back.
Just gonna leave your car here?
I'm a white guy in Pasadena. The cops will probably just take it back to my house for me.
Must be nice.
Derek, how's it going?
Just walking the dog I didn't want.
My patient moved into her sister's house.
Sounds like the day's off to a great start for both of us.
That's a nice trailer, isn't it?
I want to watch it now after having
Yeah. I left out of the intro. Those are my neighbors in the show, Krista Miller and Ted McGinley, who are also play wonderful parts and will knock your socks off with their acting and comedy.
Great promotion for them. The show's so hilarious, and it's so mixed with this grief and comedy that a lot of people can relate to in real life. Jessica, I want to kind of kick off with you talking a little about you tapping into Gabby and what it was about her that you were attracted to.
When I signed on to play Gabby, they didn't really have her fully written. They just kind of knew general traits that they wanted to have with her, and then they wanted to tailor her to whoever played her. And I was really excited to to work with Bill and Brett and Jason and Neil. And so I kind of just trusted them, but they knew that they wanted Gabby to balance out Paul, who can be a bit grumpy, played by Harrison's character, and Jason, who's going through this really traumatic grief. So I knew I needed to be like a brighter character, and I was really excited about the idea of improvising on set. And so it was just kind of a no-brainer. So I got to do lots of that.
Yeah, definitely. Luke, your character is so involved with everything that Jimmy is going through, and he has his own trauma that he's going through. How did you kind of get into that headspace? And you also, I know a lot of people talk about Jason being so great with his comedic timing, which he is, but you also are really funny. And I want to make sure to point that out. Well, how did you kind of walk that line between this man who is going through PTSD, but also he's really funny?
Sometimes there's actual alts where like he's workshopping, just like he wants us to explore where Sean is going to go, and we may go off script. But then there's other times where it's just energy, where he's just being supportive. I'm talking behind the camera. If this dude wanted to, he could go and relax. He could have a standing calm, and then I could do all my stuff. He is 100% present every second. He's just behind the camera. So, and a lot of my scenes starting were with Jason. So honestly, and those were the scenes before I got to do like a lot of the funny stuff. So it was just taking notes for the most part. It was just taking a lot of notes, understanding the vibe of the show. And it was just absolute euphoria. I got pictures up on my wall from like certain episodes, and it was just so cool to learn how this set worked. And, you know, he's our captain, so he leads by example in terms of not just creatively, but energetically, you know?
I was there mostly off camera because I wanted to watch this dude act. That's why I stay for off camera.
Just love
very
that.
Supportive, and it helped every, I think, minute of my performance. But in terms of like the preparation for playing a vet, honestly, research, we got this thing called Google, which is very helpful. But I think more than that, you got to ask some people, like pull from something actually authentic. And that's something I'm really not trying to mess up. So there's anyone I knew who served, just a polite, can I have some of your experience to draw from? And a lot of them were cool and they shared. So kudos to them as well.
For sure. Michael, how would you describe a day on this set? What is the vibe like? Because it is so funny, and you guys all seem to really like each other, which is not on every show, so that's nice. But it also has this dark overtone. So I'm curious, what was that vibe like?
Well, yeah, you gotta, you know, it was a very happy set. The crew were very, very happy. And a lot of, and it does all start from the top with Jason. He knew everyone's name. He would ask them, he would say, hey, what's your name? So that automatically starts off a day with like a happy, friendly vibe. You've got some comedy assassins. You've got people that are able to navigate and improv. I mean, I'm speaking specifically about Jason and Jessica, who you get into a scene with them and you go off script and you're like, wow, how did they even think of that? And then suddenly you're coming up with things that you didn't know you could come up with because they're supporting you and they're bouncing it. They're sort of lobbing the ball back to you. You got one crazy legend in Harrison Ford that's there, who is wanting to be the funniest person on set all the time too, and succeeds at it because it's him, and everyone laughs at everything he says because there he is, and he's hilarious. Loved the work so much. I think that was the debate that like everyone loved it. Everyone loved being there, even when we would go to the more heartfelt scenes and we would have to like quiet down the room or slow down the pace. The work was always first and foremost. You never saw crew people looking at their watches. I never heard anyone complain. It was never. I've been on sets where it's like let's move it along, you know, or where you can tell people aren't paying attention. They're not invested. And this was a set where everyone was invested in making the same great show.
One of my favorite improvs of the season is Michael Urie's, where we had a scene with Krista Miller and we were practicing the wedding speech. And I get frustrated and I yell at Krista, "You blueberry eating motherfucker," or something. And then Michael calmed me down and he's like, "Oh, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay." And I thought it was the end of the scene. And then Michael, unscripted, turned back to her and became like Christian Bale Batman. And it was like, "You blueberry eating motherfucker." And we laughed so hard. It was like perfect improv.
I did not know that was not scripted.
That's hysterical.
That's
It's
amazing.
hysterical.
How
That's
much
hysterical.
how much improv was there? And I mean, when it came to the scripts, even when you guys were reading them, was every scene written out word for word? Was it more like, let's play? Talk a little about that. Anyone who wants to take it.
I'll jump in on this one first and then pass it around. But I think that we all owe a debt to this amazing group of writers. Like, there is a group of some of the funniest men and women, like, that just nailed these scripts. There are a lot of arcs going on in this show, and there are a lot of storylines. There's a lot of characters who each have a relationship to each other, and somehow they all tied together beautifully. So they created this amazing treasure map for all of us with beautiful arcs. And had we done the scripts just alone, the show would have been fantastic. Where I think the show pushed to the next level is you have people like Jessica and everybody. I mean, like Michael, Luke, Lukita, even Harrison, who would come in once they got the hang of what this set was like and take ownership of their characters and push the way that they speak and their jokes to the next level. I mean, Jessica should speak to it because she jumped into that really fast and was just a genius at it. Bill says this thing that you, at first, the writers have ownership of the characters, and then very quickly it becomes 50-50. And then at some point it gets turned over to the actors and they know their characters best of anybody. And I think that definitely happened on our set. What were you gonna say, Luke? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, no sweat. Well, I love text, and I come from theater, so I learned how to like break down text, and it was very important to get all the lines down. And then actually one of the first, I think it was my first day where I worked with Michael, this dude comes and he stepped out of an Aaron Sorkin movie. He had like a wall of text, and then he turned it into this thing with like 2 or 3 breaths.
Yeah.
And it was so natural. Let's not waste each other's time. And I was like, my character was supposed to be like astounded by this guy. And then me, Luke, is just like, yo, this dude he's the truth. Yeah. And then for him to turn around and start throwing stuff at the same time, I was like, okay, so some people really do just have it all. And then I went to work with Jessica on the art gallery scene. And girl, I mean, anybody who watches that episode, they just don't know. But it's like there is an authenticity that you inject through your improv. It's not a, hey, look at me, here's a ha-ha. It's a, this is the truth. And this deserves space in the story. And there's a reason why you have that reputation and that like esteem around you when it comes to contributing, because it just feels like it's all for the genes of the show and for Gabby. It's a wonder to watch. I got notebooks on all of y'all. So if y'all let me, I'll keep going, but I'll cut myself off because, you know, we got limited time. You know how it is.
Yeah, I know how it be. Those time constraints, Zoom to Zoom.
Yeah.
Room to room. You know how it be.
Had anything done on set. I'm already like getting teared up, but laughing. I can't even imagine.
So can I just say something about this beautiful, kind Black man that, you know, I did improvise that. I did say you got a beautiful Black man out there in episode 4 that night. Yes, I will take responsibility for that and injecting that into the show because
that's right.
The cacao skin got my whole
all that
family.
cacao skin glistening over there in the pool house. You know what? That's how I see you in my head, Luke. And let me just tell you about this guy.
Yeah.
All right?
Good.
Let me just tell you about this guy.
Go on, Jessica.
Not only does he have all right. He is a tenderoni.
Yeah.
Tall.
That's right.
Delicious. You just want to hug him. You know, he's got that teddy bear vibe.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got just this beautiful gap, glint in his eyes, and he loves his wife and he loves his life. But I'll tell you something. So you got that part. And then this guy starts acting and he has the presence of like the great, like Denzel Washington, like just the quality of his voice of everybody in the show, and everyone's got their own skill set, but he just talks and he grounds the scene He makes the scene real. You feel like you're watching a masterclass in acting. And then on top of that, he just makes you feel loved, which there's nothing better as an actor, because our job is to be vulnerable every day. And he will make you feel just the most loved in a way that you didn't know you needed until he's giving you all these gorgeous, gorgeous compliments. He's just gorgeous. You're just gorgeous. And I was so happy that they finally put the two Black people together in this show in our eighth episode, and I can't wait to do it more. But it's just acting with you, and I can speak to what it feels like to work with every actor in this, but acting with you feels like you're just sitting on a lovely, profound, stately couch. Like,
that's it.
George Smith chair, but very stately. You know what I mean? Very cozy, like an English chair. You're like a man of the craft.
I guess.
I'm trying
He's
to
delicious.
keep up.
I don't even know I would describe him as delicious.
Thank you.
It's a great
Too kind.
description. We are gonna throw to a clip, I think, that perfectly describes that. So let's throw to that clip now.
Let's do it, Bo.
You trust me, Sean?
No.
Doesn't matter. I'm a psychological vigilante.
You a what?
Let's go find you someone to beat up.
Wait, what?
You going?
MMA. You liked it?
Me? No. That's super dangerous. Hey, my friend Sean here would like to spar.
Okay, Sean, you got this. Don't let him know we're scared. Look at him. Don't look at me. He's just trying to get in your head. Yes, there you go. That's it. Get him. Get him. Yeah. Oh, he can use his feet. Sean, he's using his feet. He's gonna use his feet the whole time, I bet. I know that. Use your rage!
He was just really fast. Like, very fast. I think I had him in that last round, though.
Okay.
If you hold that to your lip, it's gonna help with the swelling.
Oh. That's nice.
I mean, the chemistry between you two is just so much fun. Jason, watching your face while you're watching these clips, do you watch yourself on screen, or do you not like to?
Didn't know my face was being watched.
Sounds really creepy. It's fine.
Yeah, no, that's great. I watch a lot of the edits and give notes on the edits. So by the time it airs, I have seen it a lot of times. I've seen myself do it a lot of different ways. And I'm really happy to not think about it after that. I find for me, this is maybe getting into the weeds, but the most important thing for me when I'm doing acting is not to be self-conscious, to not be thinking about how it's going to end up. And so the more I can remove myself from the final product, the final product, and people's reactions to it, the less I'll be thinking about it when I'm doing acting. I just kind of try to have faith that my taste will be interesting to other people.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really the like leap of faith of being an artist, right? Is like, I think this is interesting and I hope other people do too. The times in my life when I've been making something and I have tried to manufacture what I think will be interesting have been the stuff that I've liked the least of what I've done, because you could have substituted anybody else to make that thing. It's like, that's not, for me, that's never been the way to do it. So part of my job is to have to look at it a lot, and then I try to walk away.
Nice. Michael, I want to shift to you and talk a little about Brian's mantra in the show. For those who don't know, is like, I kind of everything goes my way, that he carries throughout the season. He's, I would say, the most upbeat character in a show that's full of a grieving group of people. What was that like for you? And how was that? How did you kind of create that energy? I mean, it seems like that's the energy you carry regularly, but I'm curious.
Well, it's a great energy. Thank you for thinking that. I don't always have that energy, but it is a great energy to bring to work for sure, because people want to talk to you and be around you. And I didn't know anybody when this job started. I think I had met Jason once briefly, but we didn't know each other. I auditioned, but I didn't do any chemistry reads with anybody or anything like that. So I really didn't know anybody. And I got there and I was terrified that on the first day they were going to see me and think, that's not the guy we meant. like we didn't mean to cast you. We thought you were Andrew Rannells or something. And so I spent a lot of time just sort of like tap dancing and spinning my hat, wanting to be liked. And that really helped with the character, because that's what he's kind of doing. And what I think is so beautiful about this show is that nobody is quite what they seem on the surface. And so I knew when I read it, I knew like this there's so much to all of these characters that we're not yet seeing, and this guy is definitely no exception. We're definitely going to peel away this onion and get to him. And I think something that is so great about the show is every scene someone's on the couch and someone's got the pad. There's always like someone's therapist and someone's patient. And I was wondering who my therapist would end up being, and it ends up being Gabby. So 4 or 5, I think. And I got to hold the pad with Harrison at one point, giving him advice, and it's just like it's such a clever thing to like pass that around. And I thought it was so perfect and brilliant that it was Gabby that was finally the one to crack Brian open. And I'm hoping for more of that next season.
Oh my God, it would just be.
Me too.
I mean,
I can't wait.
I want that very badly.
Yeah.
Yes, I think we all do.
Yeah. Jason, are you taking note of that? That's what they want for next season.
Yeah, I got it. I'm ready.
I want to throw to one more clip actually before we keep going, because this kind of goes a little bit on, Michael, what you were just saying.
Oh, good. Everyone's here. Sorry to interrupt you at work, but I have huge news, so sorry, not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry is something nobody says anymore, so I want you to that from your vocabulary.
Well, yeah, but I can still pull it off. I have the ability to say things with an undercurrent of irony, so I'm in on the joke.
La, la, la. Is this your podcast? Speed it up. People got to do.
I guess I'm just nervous to tell you guys because you just split up with Nico, and Jimmy's got the
Dead wife.
Yeah, but you're my closest friends, so I'm just gonna say it. I'm gonna propose to Charlie. Seriously? Nothing? Do you hate love?
No. We're happy for you, man. It's just that you said you're going to propose to Charlie like a million times, and it hasn't happened. So it's starting to feel like, what's the right word for this?
Little itty bitty baby.
Yeah, exactly that. I have to go because I have a session at 10 a.m. It's actually going to happen.
Zing.
They did that so many different ways that I had forgotten what version made it into the show. Like there were so many different versions of itty bitty baby bullshit.
There was a little bit of like I think for a while there was like a baby back ribs.
Yes.
Somebody had to come in and be like, you freaking weirdo. One, you're weird. 2, we absolutely can't. We can't afford that. We have to call Chili's. What do you want us to do? Call Chili's? You can do that?
Oh my gosh, so funny. All right, so obviously a spoiler alert for those who have not watched, but Jessica and Jason, obviously your characters have an incredible chemistry as a friendship and as a co-working relationship, and then turning into more. How did you guys go about forming that? And when you first met, like how did you create that friendship and trust that you had to create as actors between each other?
Jason, you want to take that?
So for me, it was pretty instant. I gotta say, like, I think that Jessica and I have I never worry, even for the littlest bit, that if I try something, Jessica is going to let me fall. Like that's the scary thing about when you're doing acting, especially when you start to veer a little bit into weird or a little bit off the script. And I think sometimes there's really interesting stuff in the weird. You don't know, maybe it's just a little bit, but maybe it's one line that you end up using, but you don't know until you find out. And Jessica was always there for it and returned fire. And next thing you know, we were exploring like the whole room, not to sound actor schmackery about it, but it's just like, she was game to find out what was in every fucking corner of that scene. And it felt a lot like, it is very similar to how I felt when I used to do a lot of work with Paul Rudd, where we would walk into scenes and we would feel like, all right, we're not leaving this fucking room until we've turned it over, And that's how I felt like every time when I would do a scene with Jessica. It was exciting and challenging, And I had to bring my A game every day. I mean, that's true with all the actors, but I had to bring my A game every day with Jessica because she might say some shit I was not expecting either. And I had to figure that out in real time. So I felt really lucky. They were invigorating days.
Yeah, I'm honored to hear that because I felt the same way. It was very evident very quickly from our first scene. Something I was like, oh, we're speaking the same thing. One of my favorite scenes is when I talk to Alice after we've I forget what it is, and I'm trying to like tell him like, okay, it's gonna be okay. Like I talked to her, you know, la la la. And Luke comes in and he's like, oh, do you guys want to grill? And there's something where we have to hug each other and we talk about like his penis or something. And we gave each other this. There's one take we did where we just gave each other a high five. And Luke walks in, but we just kept doing the high five, neither person letting go. And so at one point, both of our hands just raised and we were just high five for the whole scene like this. And Luke just was so game because he's the best. And we just did the whole scene, hands up in the air like that. And it's so dumb. Obviously, that's not going to be used, but you never know if it's going to be used. But
you just don't know.
You don't. And what I like is the idea that in between action and cut, I don't know what's going to happen. That really excites me. I come from an improv comedy live stage background. You don't know what's going to happen. And with Jason, it was cool because I felt like I had a partner that he also didn't know was going to happen, but he liked not knowing what was going to happen. And so then it was like playing in a sandbox.
Yeah. You also get to an area of the show in the middle, without any spoilers, where Gabby and Jimmy start touching butts, you know? And I think that there is already an energy to doing scenes like that separate from comedy. Like everyone's a little nervous, you're naked, you're like covered up. There's a crackling, mischievous energy to doing scenes like that in my experience. I think it's really fun. Like, it's just so weird, you know?
It's so weird.
Yeah, it's so weird. And so to do comedy on top of that energy, I think that really fueled us also because we were already a little bit like little kids, like we were pretty much naked, you know, like we're kind of covered up, but we're doing jokes like.
And you were just like, you were having fun. And that I always think about, you were like, look at us. This is cool. Like you had like a white guy moment where it was like really quirky and it had been like hour 6 and it was just like us, Jim, our amazing DP, like one cameraman. And they had already been like, okay, so Jason's going to do this thing. They had like pulled me aside like randomly. They were like, Jason's going to do this thing. He's going to Winnie the Pooh it. Like he's going to just have no pants on. And I was like, they were like, are you okay with that? And I was like, who the fucking Sarah Marshall guy? Is he going to do the thing? And I was like, yeah, I expect that from this man. And then I said, you know what? He doesn't get to do that. If he gets to do that, then I'm not going to have a bra on. He doesn't get to do that by himself, you know? So we were just in this like kind of thing. And Jason had this really goofy, like, we're doing it. This is us.
That's so fun.
Actors. And I was like, this fucking dork. Yeah, we are doing it.
That was so fun.
It was really
great.
Funny.
We had this thong. I had to wear this thong that we all.
Yeah, he didn't just not have anything.
But we all knew it was going to be painted out, right? Yeah. But I'm wearing like a flesh-colored thong. And the funniest thing was, you guys probably don't know this, but when we got the network and studio notes back, they were like, we're a little concerned about Jimmy's thong choice. Like, is this like not an odd thing that we suddenly revealed he's wearing a flesh-colored thong?
Not Apple being like.
We had to respond respectfully, and it was going to be painted out that this was not a character reveal.
Someone typed it. Someone thought it. They discussed it. Someone typed it. Someone sent it, and that's funny.
Maybe that's what Jimmy likes. Maybe that's what Jimmy likes. They're a little confused by it.
It was a talk.
Yeah, and they were like, you know what? And this is a sensitive subject, so we're going to do it gently. We don't want to hurt Jason. You know, they were like, we don't want to hurt Jason.
Yeah.
Gender's a prison. Men can wear flesh-colored thongs. But we don't love it.
All right, we are about to wrap up soon, but Luke, I want to end with you on if for audience members who haven't had the chance to watch this yet, what is one thing that would entice someone to tune in, minus the flesh-colored thong?
Yeah, Lucas, just watch what's about to happen. Watch how good Luke is at this question.
Yeah. I'm gonna turn my screen off.
If I'm being honest, like, yo, it's funny. And that's something that I think we kind of take for granted. Like we grow up watching these, like we all understand Tom and Jerry is like this legendary thing because it's this, this awesome thing where you watch these goofy characters kind of just thrash each other around, and like we all agree, like this is high art. We understand why it's funny. And then as we get into like our live action stuff, we're looking at comedy and there's all these layers, but now there's this new thing nowadays where it seems like audiences are craving something really honest and true. And Shrinking manages to do that, where the hardest laugh is usually coming after you freaking cry your eyes out. And if there's something I'm so proud of our show for doing, it's really kind of towing that line and making sure that we're checking in with our audience, checking in with our viewers to make sure that they see we are trying to challenge them and these characters are doing their best to grow and improve. But overall, man, you're going to laugh. So I want them to come for the laughs.
You're the best. Yeah, you nailed it, dude. You're the best.
That's great.
All our other things, our panel tonight, just do it. Like, do that because you're freaking amazing.
All right, we want to say
I'm just happy to be here, man.
Aw. All right. Thank you so much to our friends at Apple TV, and of course to Jason, Jessica, Luke, and Michael for joining us today. And to everyone watching, thank you for joining us for Half Hour With.
Thanks, everybody.